Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Business First Creatives podcast. Today is a real treat. And guys, we have two guests. And you know, I've only done this one other time. And we're going to try not to talk over each other. But really, we all like to talk. And so just fucking deal with it for today.
Amen.
Melissa, Alison, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having us. I'm Alison.
Yeah. I'm Melissa. Thanks for having me back because I've been on once before. So
yes,
yay.
She has. They are the women behind the Keep It Moving podcast. I recently recorded with them and immediately was like, are you going to come on my podcast? I don't even care what we talk
Easy
about.
Yes. Easy yes.
Today, we literally picked a topic, guys. So this is really something that we are doing off the cuff. You guys know I don't do notes, but there are no notes. There are no questions. We're just going to see what they say and roll with it.
I'm so excited to see where this goes.
So on their podcast, guys, I was listening to an episode that literally I think I pulled over. I was going to get Colie from school or something. I know. It was called Marketing Monday. And so that's what we're going to talk about today because
she sent me a screenshot and when she sent it to me, I was like, wait, did we do something wrong? Like, did we forget something?
She immediately forwarded it to me and I was like, what did we do wrong?
Nothing. It was fabulous. So both of these ladies really need to focus on marketing for different reasons. And so while I haven't introduced each of them, I am going to let them do it now. And then we're going to jump right into marketing. And Alison, your name begins with A, so you go first.
Well, thank you. Hey, that was really lovely. Okay, so who am I? I'm Alison Bell. I am a family photographer of, I think, 14 years. Depends on when you start counting, like when I was legal or when I first got paid for it. I don't know. But I've been a photographer since I was like in 8th grade. It was for a Girl Scout badge, actually. But I've also been married to the Marine Corps for the summer's going to be 16 years. Dang. Mm-hmm. And so I have had to move my business all around the world. I remember the moment I sat in my aunt's kitchen saying, I could be a photographer anywhere.
You didn't mean that.
22, 23. Like, you can do this anywhere. You can teach anywhere. You can be a nurse anywhere. Blah, 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 blah. Totally naive about the pain of ripping out a business that you've built up and then starting all over where you don't know anybody. And so I've actually now moved my business 7 times now. I'm currently in the state of Hawaii, which is fabulous. Never thought we'd ever be here, but we have lived in Virginia, Alabama, Missouri, Okinawa, Japan, 2 places in Virginia actually, and North Carolina. And then I've traveled back to South Carolina a ton. And so I like to keep my foot in the door there. So I have relocated a dozen times, every time more successfully than the last. But I remember when we left Okinawa, Japan, this was summer of 2019. I saw it coming from a year out, right? I knew in 2018, like this was the last fall season. This was the last Christmas season. This was the last spring season. This was the last festival, etc. And I knew we were going to Quantico. And so I was just looking left and right at all of these other photographers who didn't have to move with the military, who didn't have the burden of restarting and doing the same thing over and over ad nauseum. And I got mad. I got mad. Like, why can't I have that kind of success? Why can't that be for me? I'm like, well, I can tell you easily. Like, it's because I'm moving all the damn time. And so I got real angry for a little bit. I got really like, temper tantrum. And then I got motivated. And I just channeled all of that anger and frustration into there's got to be a better way. And there is. Now, if you were to Google how to move a business right now, you're going to get things like how to relocate your office into a different office space in the same city. If you really dig deep about moving your business with the military, you're going to get a really vague blog post that's completely unhelpful, probably from Military One source, who means well, but nothing about how to launch in a different city with an in-person service business, right? That's the other part of this. Like, I'm not online. Everything has to be done in person. So I just dug deep into social media, SEO, email marketing, email campaigns, all those things, basically running 2 businesses from one place so that I could have clients when I got there. And so with every successive move, it's gotten better and better. And Hawaii has actually been by far the best. I was booked up within 9 months of being here at the top of Google within similar rankings or similar time frame. And yeah, so now I'm just trying to help other spouses do the same thing because quite frankly, photographers are a dime a dozen in the military because we can do it anywhere, right? And so I just know I want other military spouses to not feel the same way I did or actually do feel that way and then do something about it. Yeah, because there is a better way. Get angry and get motivated, right? So that's my story in a nutshell.
Melissa, I mean, yours is kind of similar, but it has a different twist. So let's go.
Yeah, so I'm Melissa Arlena, and I have been a photographer for 17 years this year. And I started off in weddings and then decided to pivot to lifestyle newborn. But, when I first started in weddings, I did not have friends who were getting married. So I didn't have like a steady stream of referrals coming in. And I actually came before that from 10 years in IT. And so basically, I kind of was like, all right, well, I don't know people who are getting married, so I have to find people who are getting married or get them to find me. And I kind of discovered SEO around that time frame, and I think it really spoke to just my IT background that I was comfortable with it. So I started learning it, using it to book weddings, and then my oldest, started kindergarten, and I was like, I don't want to work weekends anymore. I'm never going to see him. So then I had to pivot to lifestyle newborn, and it was almost like restarting a business because now I had to target all new stuff with SEO. I had to rebuild everything from there, and then kind of like Alison said, once I got everything going, we actually picked up and moved to South Florida because my husband is military, but he's a reservist. So it wasn't a military move, but it was a job move. And we got down to South Florida, and I luckily at that point, I kind of felt like I've learned this once with starting weddings. Then I've learned it a second time with moving to newborns. So I'm just going to do all the things I need to do to get going down here. And I was doing actually great in South Florida, like similar to Alison. Like it didn't take that long to rebuild and everything. But I hated South Florida. I'm not a summer all the time girl. So
we are quite opposite in that way.
Yeah. I was very much like, I want to go home. I want to go back to Virginia. And so we picked up and we moved back up to Virginia, but we're in a whole different area. So I have to find new clients again and all of that. But within all of that work and learning SEO, I actually went on a mutual friend of ours, Anami's podcast, This Can't Be That Hard. And I was talking about my story and about SEO. And then I started getting like, I'd helped friends with SEO, and then people started reaching out. And so then that just kind of ballooned over the last couple of years, where now I have a whole separate agency, which is why talking about marketing with like two different businesses, I have the photography side of marketing, and then I have the SEO agency side of marketing. And we help photographers with their SEO through done for you services, group coaching, and courses and stuff. So it's a lot to market and like keep straight.
And different people.
Yeah. But so that's kind of my background and everything.
I mean, all of that is fascinating. And you guys know, I feel like I always talk about writing emails, and not just email marketing, but like writing emails in general. I think none of us thought that we would write so many damn emails when we started our business, but that ends up being like a bulk of the things that you do. And so along with that, I feel like marketing as a whole is like, no one really prepared you for opening a business and then trying to figure out how to get booked. Like everybody used to think it was as easy as, well, let me hang a shingle, or in this case, publish my website online as my place of business. And people are just going to find me and they're just going to book me and it's going to be awesome. No. And all three of us know that is absolute bullshit.
Yep. It is. Yeah. Getting found is the worst part. It's the hardest part.
Yeah. We see it all the time where I'll see people's websites and I'm like, your work is amazing, but no one is finding you because you don't have anything going on your website that tells anybody where you are.
Yeah. And on the opposite side of that, I don't know that I've ever said this on the podcast, but I had a pretty big book publishing company from London find me here in Hawaii because they needed somebody to take photos of a girl that lived here in town for one of their books. So I am not a studio photographer. They wanted very specific stuff. They wanted it on a white background for this, and this, and these end purposes. And this was their budget. And this is a very well-known publisher, y'all. And the only reason they hired me to do these photos was because they were able to find me. Mm-hmm. Like,
I mean, getting found that's what it's about.
Getting found and then not ghosting your leads. That's another thing.
That's another thing. Eventually we're going to talk about systems. I'm sure we're going to hit that. I mean, I feel like everybody thinks that they're going to be like the unicorn that, they open their business and all of a sudden they're booked. And I will say, as a photographer educator of like 13 years, I have had a couple of students that were like that. I had one person in particular, when she decided to open her business, she had that kind of circle that we all kind of dream of. Like you said, Melissa, you didn't have any friends that were getting married, but she had people that would just hire her for anything. So she in particular was completely booked 3 months after she opened her business. And I'm not talking about at like $75 rates. I mean, she wasn't like the highest, but I mean, it was livable. It was profitable. It was sustainable. Wow. And so I always say, yes, that is possible. But is that going to happen for most of us? No. And I'm kind of like you guys in that I opened my business here in Colorado, and I've only had a business here in Colorado. But when I started my business, I knew no one. I mean, I had been here for 3 years. but I had spent most of that time at home with Colie. Like the first year, I was still going back and forth between here and Michigan, working on that PhD that I just never quite got. But then 2 years after that, when I had the kid, I just stayed home with her. So when I opened my business, yes, I was here. Yes, I was local, but like I didn't really have a lot of friends and no family here. And the friends that I had, guess what they were, guys? They were photographers.
Of course.
That doesn't help.
It doesn't help. So
no, it doesn't.
Let's kind of swing this conversation into like some, acts, because I know that we're all very strategic. We want to get at it. So let's start by saying what each of us does to market our business on a weekly basis, and we'll go from there. Alison, you start.
Okay, well, so this is a big question because what I did to start in Hawaii is very different from what I'm doing now because it's just two phases of your business. What I'm doing right now, I don't blog every week. I send emails every week, at least one email every week. Now I have different types of lists. I have a global list for that's everybody that's ever been or done any sort of work with me, regardless of where they live. So that goes out 1 week. And then I have other lists that is specific people that live in Hawaii. So they might be military, they might be local. And then I have traveling to Oahu lists. So people who are my potential clients, but they don't live here. So some things don't matter to them, but how to travel with kids is pertinent to them. So I'm emailing somebody every week, right? It's not necessarily always the same audience. I'm on Instagram almost daily just because I like it. I think it's fun. And then I have retargeting ads going in the background and I have SEO in the background and I do that on maybe a monthly basis at this point. I had it right where I wanted it and then I got real content with it and it took a small dip. And then I went, I can't have this, can't do this. And so got my act together and I'm doing things a little bit more consistently with the blogging. And so that's what I do. And it's a lot of automation at this point and I love it.
Okay. But like as with Melissa as your partner, how is it that you slack on the blogging? I don't quite understand that. I need you to explain it to me. But you said that you maybe do it, monthly. But my question is, does that mean you're only posting one blog a month or does it mean that you are setting time aside once a month to crank out a few blog posts so that you have something?
A great question. So back in January when things were really slow, I wrote 3 or 4 blog posts. I got the photos named, files renamed, I got everything pulled together, alt text, format, keyword research, I did all that on like 3 or 4 posts. And so like this month, I think is like the last month that is going to go out. Right. So I have a post going out monthly at least. And then every maybe 4 to 6 weeks as I have time to, I write down, I do a bunch. So that's part of that batching kind of marketing Monday kind of thing. And so, yeah, how did I let it go? I just got really content. I was like, like got a little full of myself, like no need. We're number 1, no big deal. And then it dropped. But, everybody's going after that first position. So myself included.
But why do you think it dropped? Is it because Google didn't see you as consistent anymore? Or do you think that other people got hip to the blogging game and they were blogging more than you were? Or is it a combination? I mean,
it's a combination of everything because one of those higher rankings was an Instagram profile.
Oh yeah, and that's right now with Google. Like, some of
it's
so
Google,
annoying. Some
of it's me just not posting anything for months, not just skipping a month of posting, but not posting anything new content for like 6 months. So it took a while to dip, and then other people kind of getting hip and like seeing like, oh, hey, I'm not, just everybody vying for that same position, and then I think also some consistency with my click traffic. So I had done some seasonal posts that garnered a ton of organic and social media traffic. Okay. And then time went on. I didn't have that, that had a really big spike, didn't have another really big spike for probably 6 months or so. And I think that contributed as well. So just that traffic and that click rate went down. And so probably dipped my authority, a little of everything.
There's a couple more things that I'm going to ask you, but I want Melissa to tell us about her marketing because I have the feeling that she's going to say something that's going to make me compare and contrast the two of you. So, Melissa,
this is
actually for me, it's email marketing. Yeah. I mean, because kind of like Alison said, when you're moving and stuff and you're getting set up in a new location, like that's when like you're writing all these blog posts. And then you kind of at that point, like I'm letting them coast a little bit more. And when I notice my rankings dip, then I might throw a few more out there. But I would say email marketing, and this is hard because it's two sides of the business. And at this point, I think we've talked about this before. Photography side's about 25% for me. So when I think about my marketing efforts, only 25% of my efforts really need to go to the photography business. So the other 75 go to the SEO side of the business. And so for that, it is email marketing. And then honestly, my 5-minute audits, my homepage audits, like I will open up a list and I will just start grabbing people and I will do a quick free 5-minute homepage audit. And those are probably my best marketing tool, to be honest. I just have to like, make sure I blow dry my hair, put on a little makeup so I look professional, when I do them. But for me, it's definitely email marketing and getting consistent with that and constantly having things go out.
Okay.
So constantly.
That is not what I thought she was going to say, guys. So here's what I'm going to follow both of you up, because both of you kind of hinted or just flat out fucking said it, that you have a lot of focus on email marketing. And so I'm going to ask more of like a big picture question, and one of you can take it. Both of you can take it. This is so weird talking to two people at one time. But when it comes to email marketing, I heard what you guys said about both of you are kind of slacking off in the producing new content for the Google gods. But how does your email marketing play in with the information that you've already published on your website, if it does?
Workflows, automated workflows.
Okay.
Well, I think also repurposing, like taking a blog post and repurposing it. That's the thing I always talk about on the photography side. And then I would say I'm almost like I'm the worst blogger on the SEO side. I will 100% tell you all that. I've been trying to figure out like getting a GPT set up to take like our podcast episodes and help me turn those into an actual like blog post.
I'll give you one when we're done. Continue.
Perfect. Yeah. Because that's been one of the things of like, you know, because even when you're publishing a blog post, you want to have a structure and a format. And like when it comes to photography stuff, I mean, that's the whole thing in the blogging club is I've got the template all set up. I tell you what the different things need to be. But then I always laugh at myself because then on the SEO side, I'm like, I'm skipping that step that I tell people to start with, like start with your blog post and then use that to create all your marketing. And on the photography side, that 100% is how like I like doing things. On the SEO side, I'm like opposite. Like the blog post is the last thing that happens because the podcast happens and all of that. Yeah. And I think if I could get better about taking that podcast and putting that, then, and we do use podcast stuff for social media. And then like Instagram, I have a lot of, short reel videos with like tips and stuff. And so we rely on that a lot.
Yeah. So before Alison kicks in, I'm going to talk a little bit about this because I think that this is very important to like highlight. Email marketing is like consent-based marketing. Those are the people that have like agreed to get your email in the back. But we talked a little bit before we hit record about discoverability. And while podcasting itself doesn't have high discoverability, because the thing is, if you're a podcast listener, you are always looking for new podcasts. So that's when it's really helpful if you go guest on someone else's podcast and they listen to you and they're like, she was fucking awesome. Let me go listen to her podcast.
Yeah.
But if you aren't taking your podcast material, whatever it is, and putting it somewhere that has higher discoverability, the podcast is not doing the marketing for you. Yeah. And even though your podcast has like a different spin, it is not an SEO show. No. You talk about SEO on there enough and blogging and all of the things that are related to your services to where, yes, I really do think you need to be putting the things on the blog. You need to be repurposing them as YouTube videos, which by the time this airs, y'all are going to have started to do that, even if I have to harass you. Like
I told Alison, I was like, I got a light. So now like I'm all lit up nicely.
We've talked about doing it for probably a year at this point, at least a year. Yeah.
I keep waiting for her to just say, today's the day. We're doing it.
Well, and you have Melissa. I think that's the thing that kills me is that you have Melissa, the SEO expert. There are things that she's going to be able to do to put it on YouTube and get it found just like she makes things found on Google.
The tipping point is the time.
Yes.
Like, the tipping point is the time. Do we have the time to do it and get it going? No, not at the moment. And do we want to pay somebody else to do it? Also, no.
Okay. So I'm just going to tell you. So the thing about, because before, I mean, everybody, we actually chatted. I think this was the longest pre-record conversation that I've had. It was pretty long, and I'm sorry we didn't
feel special.
I know. But so one of the things that Descript, which is what I told you that I edit in, and I record in Riverside, both of those actually have AI editing. So, and I don't think that what you put on YouTube needs to be perfect. So if you guys did nothing but record the video like you have been and throw it into either Descript, or if you recorded it in Riverside, you could do it natively. You can do an AI edit on your YouTube and throw it up there. And Melissa can write you some really awesome descriptions for YouTube and a title that'll, catch people's attention. And honestly, I have a GPT that'll do that too.
Yeah.
So if you do those things, it is really going to help your discoverability for the podcast, and then also for the actual topics that you guys are discussing on your podcast.
Yeah. 100%. That's been my biggest issue is like, I feel like we are almost overwhelmed with the number and sheer volume of episodes we've already recorded, the type of content we're producing. Like it feels like a mountain, right? And I can't blog every episode, can I? Well, probably I could.
Oh, you can.
I could. Do I have the time? I don't know. But it's like, where do you start? It feels like a mountain to overcome, and it's hard to wade through.
And it's funny because everybody looks at the podcast, and I will admit, because I mean, I've said it on my podcast, and I think you guys know this, but maybe not. Podcasting is my new long form content. Like the blog is not it. Every single podcast episode gets blogged, whether it's a guest episode or one of these solos. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've done like 9 solo episodes in a row, and I still have more in the can. And those are all about me. Like what I sell, what I talk about, what I do. Awesome. And so it's great. But I have to make sure that those get blogged. And my podcast manager, hello, Haley, is amazing. But she is mostly editing like the main episode that comes out each week. So she'll edit this episode. If for no other reason than there are 2 of you and I don't have the bandwidth to go through and like do all the editing for 3 people. I just don't. I love you, Haley. I love you. But when it comes to my solo episodes, sometimes I'll just throw them up and I'll blog them later. But what I've done in the last week is I've been slowly but surely working on a GPT, and I finally got it to where it is giving me the show notes in the structure that I want. I'm having it tell me the SEO at the bottom. If I don't like it, I'm going back and forth. But like today, guys, I blogged 3 different solo episodes and it took me 25 minutes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's 25 minutes from
you
putting
have
it
my
in
heart.
the GPT. It's spitting out the content, me going back and forth on each of them for like maybe 3 to 6 minutes, depending on which one it was. It gave me the thing. I opened up my thing. I pasted it in there. I grabbed the YouTube video. I grabbed the Captivate audio, grammar, whatever that thing is called, put it all in there and hit publish. So I did 3 in 25 minutes.
Yeah. And the way you're doing it is one of the big things that I talk about, even when it comes to blogging and AI and stuff, is that you're taking the podcasts that are your words and it's the transcript of that. And now it's creating with AI a blog post for it, which to me is exactly how you should be using AI. You didn't go out to AI and say, create me a podcast. And then now we're going to go like record it. Like it's your words and your vision.
It is, Melissa, but also, do you know what I did on the flip side? I think that I've told you this before, but I don't like podcast scripts. I hate reading off a screen. It makes me feel very
100%.
static. But no, I finally found the happy place. So now I give it stuff and I tell it, make me a solo podcast script. And I read it a few times and it's up on the screen with the headlines that are important to hit. And I'll read the headline and then I'll just go. But I've already read the script that it told me so that I kind of have a flow in my mind. And now I am nailing those, like these solo episodes, 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm not feeling the need to re-record it over and over again because did I get my point across? Is it coming across right? I mean, it's so annoying when that happens. But like AI is my new favorite best friend in my business.
Oh, yeah.
And
You're
Melissa,
employee of the month.
It is employee of the month. You know what? I haven't published that episode, but I'm changing the title to employee of the month. Thank you. That is an amazing title.
Yes.
It is now the best $20 a month that I spend in my business. It has taken over Airtable's spot.
Yeah.
I use ChatGPT, but it's only because they have the custom GPTs and I have made quite a few AI tools for my course and my little templates.
Ooh.
And so that's really the only way that you can share them is with a custom GPT, or I could do a micro tool, which is the next phase of honestly what I'm going to do.
Gotcha.
But,
Yeah. I use Claude. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, we're going to get you guys to where
Mhm.
you are using this AI.
I'm
It's going
here.
to crank out this material for you.
I'm here
That's
for
the
it.
thing. I do feel like when it comes to the podcast, there's so much. Like when Alice and I started it, we were like, we're going to be able to use this for so many other things. And then it's just time. When we first started recording, I was like downloading the transcript and then I was sending it off to my VA. And I was like, hey, take a look at this. And can you write a blog post from this? Because this was
Mhm,
before we had ChatGPT burst onto the scenes. And it just was like, this is ridiculous, the amount I'm paying her to like do this. And then it's just, we're not getting, and she, I mean, what she was creating was fine and stuff, but it just felt like it was a lot of time on her end for it. 'Cause she also wasn't like a blog person. Like I just was giving her this job to do on the side kind of thing.
Well, I've done it for my blog writer because I now have a blog writer, and I joked around. I have an episode coming out. It's going to be before this episode goes live. So I will put the link to that episode in the show notes. But I did honestly make a joke at the end. I'm like, I'm telling you guys all the ways that I'm using AI just so that you know it's not going to replace my humans. Because at the end of the day, I still need somebody to put it on the blog. I still need somebody to schedule the email. I still need somebody to make those damn graphics. That I hate making. So, I mean, my AI is not replacing my human team members, but it is making us so much more efficient and making sure that I am maximizing the content that I can get out of the time that it takes me to schedule an interview like this.
Yeah, I actually use it for our podcast episodes for the email. So with the email, I will get it, and I have like I have a template basically set up that I'm like, all right, this is kind of what we're doing. Here's the episode, bam. And I think I told Alison the other week, I was like, I scheduled out like 7 weeks worth of podcast episode like emails because it was easy. And then I think she got one. She was like, ooh, this was good.
Yeah. But I do the same thing. Like we send out the emails. I send out podcast emails to my mentoring subscribers. Same thing, but like 4 or 6 weeks at a time. Like they're getting one every week, but I don't do that every week.
Yeah.
Marketing Mondays.
Marketing Mondays. So now I want each of you to tell me what your Marketing Monday looks like. And we're going to start with Melissa since I keep on starting with Alison.
So it's funny, this week, my Marketing Monday was actually my birthday. And I was like, I'm not going to work today. And then my social media girl, she was like, hey, we're out of videos for Instagram, which I knew we were going to be out of an SEO tip, but I thought I had a blog post one. So I was like, oh, I'll record tomorrow. So when she did that, I was like, well, the good thing is I blow dried my hair and I put on makeup and I like the sweatshirt I'm wearing. So let's just go ahead and record these. And I knocked out, I think like 16 videos. Like I already had like a list that, cause I've sat down and I've batched out like, these are the list of the SEO tips. These are the list of the blog post topics. So I was able at that point just to pull up my list and just bam, 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 and knock them all out. And that's, to me, that's kind of the thing. I may not be touching every marketing avenue, but like, so Monday to me now, that Marketing Monday was batch recording, content, short form video content, which actually I also was telling Alison, I was like, I sent a polo today. I was like, I think I'm abandoning Instagram. Like, I think I just want to put these on YouTube.
Like, YouTube that's shorts. What I did. So you and I will chat. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I'm like, we get like one follower a day. And I'm like, that's great. By next year, we might have 500. I'm like, this is
maybe. That's more than one a day.
And what's funny is my photography account, I don't barely do anything for, and we get a follower like every other day. And I'm like, seriously, I do nothing over there. But on this one where I pay someone, like we're just not growing. And it's not my girl's fault. But so like it's stuff like that I'm like, these probably should go onto like YouTube or something. Cause I do think they're helpful information and I like doing them. And I do get people, I can see where they save them or they'll tell me like, I binged all your blog post topic ideas. So I like it and stuff. But anyway, yeah. So that was my Marketing Monday this Monday. I think the previous Monday was probably like emails, getting, newsletters scheduled out and all of that. And then even to like, figuring out, I think my next Marketing Monday is going to be like planning out the rest of the year on what are we actually needing to market for? Like what launches are happening, what sales are happening, that kind of stuff. So just setting aside a different Monday for different things.
And I don't think most people do that. And I love that you do that. You're like, okay, I have this set time. What needs to be done today? And honestly, I feel like sometimes you're just like, what do I feel compelled to do today? Because if you hadn't, done your hair and put on a sweatshirt that you like, you probably wouldn't have recorded those videos. You might have chosen, some other activity to do that Monday. Alison, what does your Marketing Monday look like?
Actually, very similar, except I've had a lot of days off because of kid injuries. I had a broken kid that needed surgery recently, and then holidays and random school days off. So it's been a little bit more reactive than proactive, but in an ideal week, I take 1 to 2 hours on a Monday. I start my work at 10 and I sit down and I look at my Google Tasks and I look at what I didn't do the week before or what's coming up, because Google Tasks is how I do it. All these reoccurring events, whether it's blogging, GMB updates, scheduling out more content for Instagram, like, oh, I'm at the end of what I had scheduled. You need to go redo things. I will do one of those, maybe two, but I will do it exactly kind of like what Melissa did. Emails for 4 to 6 weeks, content for 3, like posts, carousel posts, graphic posts on Instagram. I maybe do 2 a week that I schedule out and put those out, or I'll sit there and I'll just blog for 2 hours. But every Monday it is a little something different. I'm an Enneagram 7, so I don't like having to do the same thing all the time. Hence being in business for myself, right? I want the freedom. And so I like that freedom to say, okay, this is what needs to be done. It's recorded and reoccurring in Google Tasks. This is what's available to you. Or I'll do like Instagram reels. Like, hey, I found a few that I like that match my photography or my mentoring. I'll just go ahead and record a few or get the content for a few. But yeah, it's something different every week. And it may not even be Monday. It might be whenever I get to it.
Oh, look at you changing up the days of the week.
Yeah. Anytime. It just depends on what we've got going. Like if all my clients right now, I have several clients, photography clients that have artwork out. Like I'm just waiting for them to approve designs, submit edits, or choose their photos for something. They're all going to come do it at the same time.
Of course.
I'm sure, because that's how it works. And it's probably going to be on a Monday. So when I'm available to do it, I just pick what needs to be done according to what hasn't been done the most and just do it when I can. And sometimes it'll be on a Saturday. Like if I had 5 days off in a row because of a surgery and Easter holiday. So it'll get there. Try not to
I want to ask you about your content hubs. Tell me that you have one.
I have the Colie James Content Hub Airtable.
Oh, okay. Actually, I actually forgot that you had that. That was not a plug. Allison, do you have a content hub?
If you mean by like a Trello board of all my evergreen content in one place, yes, I use the Trello board.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to ask you guys about ideation, because it seems to me that neither one of you actually talked about, oh, well, I sit down and I come up with ideas. When you guys talked about your Marketing Monday or just marketing in general, it was I sat down to look at what needed to be done or create content, as Melissa said, that was in a list of 16 videos that I'd already ideated. So what does it look like for you guys to actually think about the content before you're creating it? Like, what's your process, if you have a process?
To post it on the spur of a moment when I'm having a conversation or I'm on Marco Polo. This is literally day in Kailua blog with some financial transfer math on it.
I would say though, she's right though, those ideas and stuff, there's not a time that we set down. They just come up. Yeah. Like I think I poloed her earlier this week and I was like, by the way, I had this idea for podcast episodes where we're going to interview each other because we haven't done it. Yeah. And so I just popped into Trello and like dropped them in. And literally it was one, like, it's like on the go, like that kind of thing. And that's where just being able to put it in a place while you're on the go and while you're thinking about it. But I will say for the podcast, we do try to do like a quarterly meeting, which we're due again right now to like, I think we sat down at the beginning of the year and we said, this is going to be the quarterly meeting. And we mapped out at that point, like 4 months worth of podcast episodes to the point where someone messaged and was like, hey, can we get on the podcast like in the next couple of weeks? And I was like, yeah, sorry, we're scheduled out to like April. Yeah. So we did that for podcasts,
and that typically is useful for like both your SEO side and my mentoring side, because it's topics that revolve around those things that are reoccurring. And so that's what I mean when I feel like I have a mountain of content. It's because we got over a year's worth of blogs that may or may not have been podcasted, broken down and repurposed into all these other different avenues, right? Like you can't do everything. But at the same time, when it comes to the photography side, I feel like I've got my these pillars really that I stand on. 1, I'm a mom. 2, I'm fun. 3, I'm full service. You're going to get more than digital files when you work with me. You're going to get printed heirloom quality artwork, right? Like if that's not cool.
As seen behind her on YouTube.
Yeah, right? On YouTube. If that's not your cup of tea, cool. You're not for me. Like it's just not a good match. And I'm okay with that. And sunrise. I only do sunrise. Those are like the 5 photography things that I ad nauseum, like say to everybody. And so I feel like those are it. I mean, there's other things that go around. Like I bring tequila to my shoots at 7 a.m. Like there's other little things but I basically just repeat. I'm on repeat when it comes to the photography side. And that's, we're kind of on repeat with the mentoring side too. It's just, there's so many different ways to repeat it.
Yeah. So my new goal is that Alison is going to have one place, a repository where she can go put all of those Post-its. Alison, you wouldn't know this, but I actually talk about where Post-its go to die all the time. And I cannot believe that you literally held one up and you're like, this is my latest idea.
You would oh God.
I was going to say, I have one here with notes about email open rates.
Oh my God. Okay, Colie, hold your breath. I have this, what I used to have, and I tore it down about 6 months ago because I felt like I had done them all, but I saved one. Okay. The mega Post-it with all the little Post-its. It's my real life Trello board.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
Isn't that what you brought to imaging? And we sat down?
It came off of this guy.
She had, I know when she came out to imaging, we like sat down and talked about like podcast stuff. Well, at that time we were talking about a course, and then some guy was like, you two should do a podcast. So next thing we know, we're like coming up with podcast topics.
Thanks, Joe. Joe Klein. Shout out to you. Yeah, this, it's a mega Post-it.
I mean, if it was on your wall though, I wouldn't hate so much. I think and honestly, this comes from me. This comes from, I get ideas at the most random fucking places. I will be last year I spent a lot of time in the car. And so me creating that content hub that Melissa mentioned was really, I get the best ideas when I'm driving, and how can I make sure that I don't lose them? Because in the past I would have remembered them, but now and now I don't remember them. So, I mean, I'm constantly lifting my phone up and leaving myself a voice message. But then the problem is those are like in my notes, and there wasn't any real way for me to organize those. So, I mean, I just feel very strongly that it's not necessarily that you need to have time on your calendar in order to ideate. But when you ideate, it has to go in one place so that when you have your marketing time on your calendar, that you protect just as hard as you protect your CEO time, that you have a place where you can be like, okay, I have 2 hours to create content. What am I going to create? Because if you are ideating and creating at the same time, that's when you don't get shit done. That's when it's 2 hours later and you're like, oh my God, I wrote like half a blog post. Like,
that's
where
a
did
really
the 2
good
hours
point.
go?
Yeah, because I have struggled with that portion for a long time, like years. Like I have a place in my planner. My planner used to go with me everywhere, right? And I have the notes section, and I had like little columns of like what types of blog posts. Is it a travel one? Is it a photography one? Is it a newborn one? Like all that stuff, evergreen. And I would just go through that. But then I didn't always have that planner with me, or like my big Post-its I had on the wall, real life Trello boards, right?
I think it's
plans.
awesome.
Like it worked. But then everything had an issue. Either didn't have it with me, it wasn't online, like I forgot I had it, like a freaking legal pad. I used to live by legal pads. Then they're not organized. Like I'm taking notes on other things and I can't see what I wrote. Like I've tried a lot of little things, because you're right. It absolutely is a necessary step that really is separate, not to be joined with other things or forgotten.
I mean, I feel like every time that if I talk about failing at marketing, it's because I try to do ideation and creation in the same hour. And granted, there are totally times when I wake up and I see a reel, which clearly this has been months because I haven't personally posted on Instagram since in 2025. I don't think I have. But I would see a reel. Oh, I know, it's that serious. I would see a reel and I would be like, oh my God, let me record that now. And then I would go and I record it. But I see that as like a one-off. That is not like my process for marketing my business. That's all. Ooh, that was really interesting. And you know what? If I record it right now, it can be in the bank to, go live whenever I need it to go.
Yeah. Another time that I ideate would be like doing my keyword research. So I might be doing keyword research for like an episode of our blog, but then all these other long tail things are coming up. And so I have a whole spreadsheet with all the sheets of what I could be, here's the results, here's the competition and the volume for like these different topics, and then all the potential keywords that I may put in there. So like that spawns a lot too. Keyword research happens on its own.
If you guys are actually doing keyword research for your podcast episodes before you record them, I am super angry.
No. Before I blog them.
Before you blog them. Okay, thank you so much.
No,
I was like, wait, are you actually doing that for your podcast? Because if you are, all that needs to go published like yesterday.
That's the next step. I think really for us, the podcast has been something that I think probably the first 6 months we did it, I told Alison, I was like, I'm just kind of showing up. I know I'm just kind of showing up. I'm not doing anything. And then after a while, it was like, okay, I'm now in a headspace where I can actually do more, and I'm, more than just showing up. Like we can plan things, we can do whatever.
And you can be strategic.
And then I feel like, and then this year we definitely got more strategic because now we only record twice a month, whereas we were recording every Thursday. Now we're able to get it down where we record twice a month. We do at least 1 to 2 episodes each time.
Sometimes 3.
Yeah, sometimes 3, because we're also doing, like you said, like 15-minute episodes, and those are great because we could just cover a topic really quickly. And so I do feel like this year we've stepped it up more, which is why I think, we've, like she said, YouTube and stuff is something we've been talking about forever. And then, yes, if I could start getting these things blogged. I mean, sometimes I'm like, man, there's so many SEO keywords that I could be coming up for photographers and stuff if I could get these things out here to blog. But, between everything else that's going on, it's like, okay, well, that one's not necessary right now. And then as soon as I have a dip in clients, I promise that's when it's going to become really necessary. And I'm going to be like, oh,
feast or
man, I wish I had it.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely been the whole podcast experience has been an experience in growing, like getting our legs, feeling like a little baby giraffe, and like getting to a running pace, I think.
Well, and I feel like I don't want to come across as I'm telling everyone that your podcast has to be like part of making you money in your business. But for those of us that's the goal.
That's
like
the goal,
you should make
right?
sure that you don't lose the thread. Because what's funny is I always think of you guys like you guys are doing a podcast just so that you guys can see each other. I mean, I make a joke all the time. Me and Brittany Herzberg need a podcast because literally we schedule to go on each other's podcast just so we can see each other's faces. Like we talk in Voxer all the time. We talk in Voxer all the time. But
Alison and I talked about, we were like, we're taking our polos public because a lot of this stuff we just talk about on Marco Polo. And so it was like, well, we might as well talk about this in front of other people because it's pertinent to a lot of people.
Because we connected that one year I was in Quantico and she was there. That was her hometown. And I was moving and she was moving. She was like, I've never done this before. And I was like, no worries. I got you. And she failed me because of all my work I had done from Japan before I even moved to Quantico. And so that one made me feel really good. And then 2, she actually said hi to me at a photo session location. She was like, I recognize you. And I was like,
I did. I was in the middle of a session and she walked by and I was photographing the best man from our wedding.
Alison Bell.
I said, I think that's the photographer I've been stalking and DMing on Instagram. And he was like, and I'm not normally a person like that. He's like, okay. And he's like, whatever. And then after our session, I was chatting with him and she walked back up and I was like, oh, she's there. I got to go. Just like walked off. He's like, bye. And then
we're still talking.
Yeah. So we just happened to be at the same location on that day.
But that's so fabulous. Okay, I want to ask, but Melissa already started with her, so I'm going to ask her for more details. But Alison, what has been like the best marketing activity that you have ever done? One, and I don't care what side of your business it's for. Like which one, like when I would say this is a marketing activity that you should shout from the rooftops, what comes to mind? I
think it's for the photography side. And this is pretty loaded, so I hope I'm answering your question the way you intended, but I might not be. When you're moving your business, starting over, learning, like pivoting your genres, what have you, like faking it till you make it. So when we came out from Virginia to Hawaii on Colin's a scouting trip, I had never been to Hawaii, didn't know anybody in Hawaii, used Facebook, did free mini sessions while I was here, got content, did research, and it skyrocketed. All my blogs had relevant photos. I had people in the hopper. I had an email list. I had a wait list. And I did make a little money off of it, even though they were free. I did make money. I upsold several people.
Of course you did.
So yeah, I say scouting trip. Like if you're already in your own town, you do the same thing. If you're going to pivot your genre, or you're going to relaunch, or you're going to restart, you're going to come back, or you're going to do it for the first time. It's all that same stuff. It took me weeks and weeks to get it prepped for that 1 week, right? Like it was months of prep, finding people, locations, where am I going to shoot, what time, how am I going to get there, renting the car, all the things. But it was having that deadline of time, having physical people in front of me, like connecting with people, getting those emails, money on the line for me, having the deadline of physically being there was the best thing I've done.
I mean, it's funny. So I currently am running a Done With You program, which I'm only telling you this because one of the participants literally told me that's what he did yesterday, or 2 days ago, rather. He was doing like these kind of pop-up mini sessions where they were free and they were to gather emails and all this. So, I mean, I think it's absolutely fascinating that you're the second person to mention to me this week. But I also feel like, and granted, I am getting further and further away from like what I would call photographer education, whereas I'm teaching people how to use their camera and actually, you know, be in front of people instead of like the back end systems of their business. But I used to preach all the time, no, if you want to sell something, you have to show it. And if you don't have anything to show, I need you to shoot it for free. Like, I need you to get the people in front of you because it needs to be on your terms, not theirs. And the moment that you take money from someone up front, they are your client. You are beholden to them. At the end of the day, making them happy is more important than making you happy and getting, you know, those marketing materials that you need. So no, I love your answer. I mean, I didn't know what to expect when you said it, but I love it.
Well, I mean, along that thread, when I switched from weddings to newborns, I didn't have any pictures of newborns and stuff. And I didn't have any friends who were having babies. And so I put out a model call and I was very specific. I'm like, this is free, but you have to submit pictures of your nursery, because I did not want a nursery that looked like it came out of a Winnie the Pooh bag from Toys R Us or something and threw up all over the nursery walls. I am judgy. I'm sorry. For my portfolio.
Do not apologize.
My portfolio, I was like, no. Because we've all seen the nurseries and stuff that people have now. I mean, they're gorgeous. They look like interior designers came in. That was what I wanted because that was the type of client I wanted. And it was very much show what you want to sell. You know, sometimes I do get the nurseries that have Winnie the Pooh on them and stuff like that. I don't necessarily show them on my blog, but I may not show that. I may show other parts of the session, but I was very specific. I was like, you had to submit pictures of your nursery. And then I picked the ones that I felt like, okay, this is going to be good. But I didn't have an age limit on the baby or anything. Like I did a couple like 3-month-old sessions and stuff like that.
Those are the best.
Yeah. And so, but I got the portfolio images I needed. And then it was like, if you want to purchase more, you can. I think most of them didn't, which whatever. Yeah. I was in it for what I needed. And then, you know, and you're right, because then at that point, if I was like, well, it's a discounted, then they, you know, and I, you know, told them what to wear, all of that kind of stuff. I'm very big believer that if you're doing a model session that is free, then you get to dictate everything, the location, what they're wearing, all of that kind of stuff. If you want to do a discounted session, well, now you might get to pick the location, you know, but they're probably going to wear whatever they want to wear. You're not going to be able to hold on to all of those things.
Melissa, I do want you to tell me about your 5-minute audits because I've contemplated this a few times. My problem is I can't do a 5-minute workflow audit. Like it takes more than 5 minutes. But I'm interested to hear what.
So you got to audit one thing. You have to audit one thing. I only audit the homepage because you're absolutely right. If I do charge for like a full site audit.
I know I paid you for one. That was forever ago, though.
There we go. Yeah. So I do have that, but my free one is only the homepage. And typically, though, I can tell from the homepage if the rest of the site is going to be a hot mess too. Yeah. Because if I run through that homepage and they've hit all the marks, then I can pop over to a blog post and a portfolio page real quick and I know that they're good. 9 times out of 10 though, that homepage is not hitting all of the marks or any of the marks. And so I don't need to go to the rest because I know if the homepage is a hot mess, then the rest of the website's going to be a hot mess too. SEO wise, y'all. Not that your photos are a hot mess, just SEO wise.
I mean, maybe.
Designs and stuff like that.
I mean, there are website designers that do that too, but I mean, so I'm just curious from like the back end. So you got a list, like you said, people give you their emails, you do it. And then what does your delivery look like? Because I have something in my mind of what I think you do when you deliver the audit, but what do you actually do?
It's a Loom video.
Okay.
It's a Loom video. It's probably closer. I try to tighten it up now. Sometimes it'll be closer to like 10 minutes. But yeah, I have a checklist that I just pull up and I pull up their website and it's a Loom video. And I'm like, hey, Melissa, you signed up for a free 5-minute audit. Here we go. And then I start running through all the things. And then, you know, obviously it's a sales pitch type of thing. So, I mean, I'm giving them information. They can go fix it on their own. But I do let them know too, like, if you don't want to fix this or if you want to learn to fix this, these are the services we have. And I keep that short and sweet. You know, I'm not trying to like do a 15-minute webinar to them to book us, but I'm at least mentioning like, you know, we have these different offerings. And then when I send the email to them, I just include a link. I'm like, hey, if you are interested in group coaching or you are interested in our Done For You, here's the links for those. And then I always invite them, like, if you have any questions, like follow up. And sometimes I get people who don't necessarily book right away, but they might book later, you know? And so it's it's probably that I will say is like my number one conversion. My business coach is always like, how many audits have you done this month? And I'm like, I know.
I mean, when those bookings get low, it's like, what can I go do? It's really helpful when you get in there and you see where things are at, because it gives you ideas for content. And also, I have this rule. If you are struggling with something in your systems, you should just ask me. Because if it takes me less than 5 minutes and I don't have to be in the back end of your business in order to like check all these things, like if it's just a question, I feel really bad for people that are like, oh my gosh, I searched on YouTube for like 2 hours and then your YouTube video told me what it was in 5 minutes. Yeah. I mean, you should just ask me, because I will just tell you.
After Colie was on our podcast and she told me about this 5-minute offer, I was like, good. And I messaged her about a problem I was having with Kajabi and Zapier and Stripe. And then I was like so proud because I did finally get it all fixed. And I wanted to send you like a whole walkthrough video of everything, because I was a very proud student.
It would have been fascinating.
But I was like, she's probably be like, okay, Melissa, I got it. You fixed it. Good job.
But the funny thing was, when you came to me, it was not something, it was something that I couldn't have fixed for you. And literally, I just told you, listen, you are banging your head against a wall that is not, there is no solution.
I know.
You
and I was
to
like,
move on. You need to tell them to
better.
pick a different software, or you're going to have to do this in a different way, because what you are trying to do is not possible. But it made me feel good that I saved you like that mental anguish of continuing to try to find a solution where there literally was none.
Yes. And I was able at that point to pivot to just Zapier and Stripe to get the information we needed with Airtable, instead of, if you guys are on Kajabi, it sucks.
It sucks. I mean, it's nice on the front end. It's nice as a student, but on the back end of, being in someone's business and trying to grab the data that you leave. Yeah, it absolutely sucks. Now, but there is also no like one perfect one. Member Vault is actually pretty decent in what you get off the back end. I mean, Thrivecart, the problem is, like, even though you can get stuff off the back end, like, it doesn't show you. Like, I don't know how much of any lesson any of my students do. I mean, if they click the complete button, I get that, but I don't get any other kind of data from it. So,
gotcha.
I mean, no system is perfect.
Right. Yeah.
But there are certainly some that play well with Zapier and Airtable, and some that don't. You know what? Maybe we should just troubleshoot each other's problems. Podcast episodes. I think that would be great. Y'all are laughing at me. I'm laughing at myself also, but I think that would be great.
I think that's great. Yeah. I need more people on my email list.
Yeah. I mean, don't we all? Although I will admit,
I think I win that one.
So I think I'm a little weird. Well, I'm still under 1,000. Well, actually, I'm right over 1,000 now. But this year alone, I have kicked 300 people off my list.
Oh, nice.
That's hard.
So I'm harsh. Especially in 2024, I felt like I did too many bundles where it was not a good fit for me.
Yes.
And
girl,
so those people and it's funny because people are like, oh, did you do a cold subscriber? No, they're not opening my shit now. I don't care if they click it when I say I'm going to kick you off my list. Bye. I mean, because honestly, under 1,000, over 1,000, like, you're costing me money. So no, if you're not opening my emails, I will unsubscribe you for you. And I always tag them with something that says unsubscribed manually, so that I know that I did it and not them, in case I ever look at it. But no, I mean, if you're just getting my emails and you're not even curious enough to open them, there is no reason to keep you on my list.
Yeah, they're literally dead weight, like Melissa said. Like, they're weighing your percentages down.
Yes,
which goes back into being fed and like all the things Google does about.
And I will say, I've noticed, like, now with Kit, are either one of you guys on Kit, or are you guys both Flowdesk?
We're both Flowdesk.
Okay. So Kit has this network. It's called Creator Network. And if someone like subscribe Onami, we all know Onami. When someone gets on Onami's list, I am presented to them as someone that they might also want to follow.
And so Liz Wilcox was talking about that.
So you can do that. And while, of course, the people that I get from Onami are great, because, we're like the same person. Not really, but you know what I mean. I have recently been getting referrals from people that I know are not a good fit because none of them are opening my emails, or, this, that, and the other. So no, I am also really quick to unsubscribe those people from my email list, because you just clicked on me. I don't know. Maybe I looked fun in my picture on ConvertIt. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, you're clearly not interested in what it is that I'm talking about, because you're not opening any of my emails. And so I say goodbye to you, in private, and then I unsubscribe you.
Yeah, that was something. I think we did a podcast episode with Shannon Vondi, and we were going to have her come back and talk about like cleaning your list and things like that. And I know it's hard. People don't like doing it, but I'm like, it's like, they're like sick, dead weight over here. Just go ahead and kill them now. Like, just take them out and keep the rest of the herd healthy.
Well, and especially like, it's really weird when someone signs up for your freebie and they don't, if it's a download and they
Mhm.
don't actually click.
Oh yeah.
No, why am I going to keep you on my email list? Like, you didn't want the thing that you signed up for. I mean, and I shouldn't say, I don't kick you off immediately if you didn't download the thing. That's not what I'm saying. But if you
Yeah.
open that email, you didn't download it, and then you didn't open the next 8 emails that I gave you. Yeah, no. I don't know why you're on my email list, but I don't need to be in your inbox. I just don't.
Right. Yeah. And especially if it's something like that, where maybe it's being delivered to a spam or trash folder that they don't see, then it's like, okay, well, you're not seeing it anyway. And every time
You
it
won't miss
delivers
me.
to your spam, Google's like, well, nobody interacted with that. So,
And y'all know that every email provider, Gmail, Yahoo, Microsoft, Outlook, they report opens differently. So like, so I think it's Microsoft, and this might be old, but I bet it's still the same. Like, you don't actually have to click open for it to be read as open because it's automatically
Correct.
yeah.
that.
And there
like,
are also some that are blocking your ability to see if they open. So the other
Yeah.
thing that I look at is sometimes I will get people where the email does not show as opened, but it has been clicked.
Oh, yeah.
And this is not one of those bot things. And I mean, since we're just
Yeah.
talking about these things, there's also the people who now, I mean, it's not necessarily a bot. And I've noticed it more with Hotmail, Outlook, and like college emails. They are currently scanning to look for malware. And so they are clicking on every link in your email. And no, I mean, if anybody listening is one of those people, I'm so sorry. But if you have an email that's clicking everything, I'm unsubscribing you. And the reason that I'm doing it
It's messing up your
because sometimes it's not just my rates. If the link that you click has an action, I am now sending you something that you did not ask for. Like, I am sending you additional trainings or opting you into a particular segment that does not fit you. And so to me, you are more likely to mark me as spam or unsubscribe if I'm all of a sudden sending you emails that are just for photographers and you didn't actually click I'm a photographer in one of my emails.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that side effect.
That's really far down the line. That's really like forward thinking.
Oh, right.
So
guys, this was amazing. And I feel like if we just sit here, we'll talk forever.
Yeah.
So I just want to let everybody know that I love both of these ladies and that they will be back. And so if you have any like questions for either of them, you know, send them over in an email. Send it over on Instagram. And the next time that they come on, I will be sure to ask.
I'm on Instagram. Alison is on Instagram. I will be the only one who doesn't ghost you on the gram.
See, there you go. All right, ladies. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Can't wait.
All right, everyone. That's it for this episode. See you next time.